What about my love? Wasn't it enough? Just let me know so I can hold.
Oregon record prediction, man. So we got a couple of them for you. This one's going to be fun. Let me make sure that I got everything ready on my side. But I've been looking forward to this one. I'm glad that this one got voted. You guys know I love Dillon Gabriel and what he's all about. And I think, as an Uso and Khalid as an Uso, we got to make sure that our Uso brothers taken care of out there with the Oregon Ducks.
Yes, sir.
I can't wait. So Khalid, you're up first, man. Give us who you think or what you think Oregon's record is going to be and why.
Yeah, so Oregon, I have them going with a really, really solid 11-1. Only loss is going to be at home against the Ohio State. So I think Oregon, before I get into specifics, Oregon has, in my opinion, a top 5 roster, top to bottom in college football. The only problem is, so does Ohio State. I have the opinion that Ohio State has one of the top 2, if not the best roster, top to bottom in the entire country on paper. So, yeah, when it comes to talent, it's not like one of these two teams clearly is better than the other. But if you had to give someone the edge, I would say it's Ohio State.
Yeah.
Now,
factory out.
At one point, I got cold feet with this pick because it's in Autzen Stadium. You can say what you want about the capacity of that stadium, but it is one of the loudest environments in the country. It is up there. So it's intimidating. But the thing is, Ohio State and that team, Ryan Day and those guys, they're used to that kind of environment.
I was about to say, yeah.
They're used to these big games. They're used to playing against Michigan every single year, right? They're used to playing against Penn State every year. And guess what? They take care of business against Penn State every single year. Up until the last couple of years, they take care of business against Michigan. So they're no stranger to the big games. Meanwhile, if you look at Oregon, they have struggled in some of these bigger games. Now, funny enough, the last time these two teams played, Oregon got the win, right? And that was the beginning of the CJ Stroud turnaround. I watched that game, and Stroud looked quite terrible. After that, he was a different man. He was a different man. So, kind of funny illusion there. But look, Oregon's roster, Dan Lanning, I think he's one of the best coaches in the game right now. He's one of my favorite, right? He's someone I would want to play for. He's someone, if I had a kid, right, I would want to send him there to go play for Dan Lanning. But he's recruited extremely well. He's recruited in the transfer portal extremely well. Sadly, took my boy Evan Stewart from my Aggies. They reloaded, right? They replaced they replaced Troy Franklin with Evan Stewart. They returned Tez Johnson, and they replaced Bo Nix with Dillon Gabriel on the offensive side of the ball. This offense is not going to miss a beat. And they add Dante Moore for the future, right? The problem for me with this game facing Ohio State is Ohio State brings experience at every single level.
They do. Except
for arguably wide receiver, but they do return Emeka Egbuka. But where they lack an experience at wide receiver, they have an overflow. And I mean the most overflow of talent that you will find in probably any position group in the country at wide receiver, with 5 stars in Carnell Tate, Brandon Inniss, and Jeremiah Smith, who, according to a lot of sites, was the number 1 player, not just at his position, but in the entire country, regardless of position, in this past recruiting cycle. And reports out of Columbus are saying that he could be legit even as a freshman. So I look at this team, and on paper, Ohio State's better. I realize that they're also on the road, but Ohio State's running game is going to be the difference maker in this game. I think that their defense is going to do just enough against a potent Oregon offense, but the duo of Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson out of the backfield, and let's make it a trio and throw in Will Howard at quarterback there, is going to make that offense so hard to stop on the ground. And then you throw in all the talent at wide receiver. Ohio State's going to overwhelm almost every single team they play. And unfortunately, I think that despite a really good Oregon defense, Ohio State's going to get the better of them in this one. But aside from that, I mean, you look at the rest of Oregon's schedule, and it's pretty favorable, right? I mean, the only other, I guess, top-notch, like difficult games that you could say they have, you could pin Michigan and Wisconsin as those games. But I think
I'll take it. Yes.
Look, they out-talent Wisconsin, and I don't know if Luke Fickell is quite there yet to be able to get that top-notch win. And then I'm not very high on Michigan, right? We'll talk about that more when we get to like the Big Ten predictions, but Michigan's going to take some steps back, in my opinion. And Oregon is a team who is going to take advantage of that. So I really like Oregon, but I have them going 11-1 with their lone loss coming to the Buckeyes.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you because I got the same loss in this one.
Wait, hold up.
This one was tough, man. This one was tough for me because I really tried to find every single way to make Oregon undefeated. But the thing that kills me with Oregon is exactly what you said, the matchup, because I think the one thing that's going to decide this whole game, the one thing is the run defense. And I don't trust Oregon's run defense as much as I trust Ohio State's run defense in its totality. And I don't trust Oregon's running backs to do good against that defense like I think Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins are about to do against Oregon. The other thing that Oregon or Ohio State has the advantage over Oregon is Chip Kelly's played against Oregon several times now, being at UCLA. And he's bringing the running back prowess to that team like I talked about before. And people underrated, but that dude's always top 10 in the running game and in the country in like the last 4 years. So now we already know what Jim Knowles is about. We don't have to say anything about that. Came from Oklahoma State, being one of the top dogs, is one of the top dogs. It is what it is. The one thing that I think is going to make this game close at the beginning is the passing game by both of these teams. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think what you're going to see is about, and no kidding, I think Will Howard and Dylan Gabriel together might put together 6 touchdowns before halftime collectively.
And they can both do it on the ground.
Yeah. I think they at least put three tutties apiece. Maybe 2 in the air, 1 on the ground, 2 in the air, 1 on the ground for Will Howard. And then I think the game plan just totally changes with Ryan Day's camp. They're going to start pounding the rock in the second half of the game because they know they got to give their defense a break. And they got to start making the drives a little longer to get their defense a break. So Oregon has a tough schedule, and it's only in the middle. Ohio State, Purdue, Illinois, Michigan. But they play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games before they get to their next bye against Washington towards the end of the season. So they play 3 games, they're off 1, play a whole set of games before they're playing their last game of the season. It's one of the toughest stretches in the Big Ten, not by talent-wise, just the fatigue that's going to happen with this team. But it's either going to be a burden or it's going to be a gift. Because definitely this year they're going to get a win over Washington.
Yeah.
And say what you want about Dan Lanning. Dan Lanning is going to bring the prowess of SEC football back. He's a Kirby guy. He's a Nick Saban guy. He's gone through the ranks. He's been a defense coordinator. He knows what it's like to win a national championship. And he took a chance on himself by going to Oregon. And they've been getting nothing but 5 stars, absolute dogs, taking chances on players. And not only taking chances on players, this is Dylan Gabriel's last year. He got Dante Moore to commit to that team. Knowing, and he's stayed with the team when the second transfer portal period came up. And that spoke louder to me than anything, is that he can retain talent through adversity. And that dude's going to be good next year. I know we're not talking about next year, but I'm just saying how good of a coach that Dan Lanning is. And to answer your question, can't get right, I play quarterback. But yeah, I love this, man. I absolutely, I love what he's doing. and I hate to say that this is not going to be his year, but Ohio State just, man, Hayden, you remember when I said Will Howard, the best team for him to go is Ohio State, and they were bouncing around USC and everybody else. And then out of nowhere, he went to Ohio State. I was like, damn, brother.
No, out of nowhere, Ohio State became a name, and you're like,
when it looked bleak.
Hey, I'll never forget the happiness I felt hearing the rumors about Wisconsin and Phil Howard. But man,
yeah, man.
Now we got Van Dyke.
All right, Hayden, you ready?
Yes. Shocker. Surprise. I have the same thing. I'll say this. The one team I thought about adding to this was Michigan, if we're being honest here. And for that, the reason why for Michigan is they are a huge question mark for me with Michigan. With Sherrone Moore now be taking the roles. I'm not doubting him as a coach. We saw last year what he can do with that team under his control, went 6-0 with Sherrone Moore. I'm not going to doubt that. I'm more curious of what they're going to do to replace all the losses they had. I'm not worried about the running back position. That is basically covered. Is how are they going to act with JJ gone? How are they going to act with Roman gone? And a lot of that offensive line, which is Michigan. They'll probably replace it. And they do get very good offensive linemen recruits and players from the portal. So I'm not worried about Michigan as a loss. It was more Ohio State was it. And the reason with Michigan too, I thought about it too, was because of that crowd noise being one of the, you could argue with A&M, the loudest stadium in college football out there in Michigan. So
they built it to be loud.
Exactly. They built it for the Ohio State game, the game. That's why they built it. And hey, kudos to them. It has helped them the past few years. So you gotta give credit there. But that was a team I was borderline, but because
having
of the
a number one defense has helped too.
That too. But the question marks for me is why I gave the edge to Oregon, because like Khalid said, they're one of the most like best teams on paper up there with Ohio State and Georgia and others in the top. So it's just tough with this game. And I was with you too, thinking about undefeated. I was like, do I give them undefeated? But I was like, Ohio State has to deal with environments like Wisconsin, Michigan, Penn State, and you can even argue many others in the Big Ten. The Big Ten, we love our football out here.
Oh, my Big Ten prediction is going to surprise you. You're going to be like, what the hell? I studied this the last like 3 weeks of every single schedule. And that's why I said I tried to fight for Oregon to be undefeated so bad, but
I just couldn't. I couldn't.
When you match up Ohio State against them, man, it's just like, it doesn't matter if you're going to Autzen Stadium. Them running backs, that running back core and Chip Kelly alone,
it's hard. It is.
It's going to be a 2-score game, I think. And people are going to look at it like Oregon got their ass kicked, but it's not going to be that way.
One thing people forget last year about Ohio State, they ranked number 1 defensively versus the pass. So I think Oregon's going to struggle at first to get the passing game going. And I think Quinyon Judkins and Travion Henderson is gonna slow down this game and make it a brutal nightmare for Oregon's defense. I think Oregon's gonna be down by double digits at halftime, and I think they're gonna bring it. They're gonna make adjustments, find ways to get Dylan Gabriel going, running and passing, make him the dual threat quarterback that he is, and really loosen up this Ohio State defense and make it hard for them to stop Oregon. And I think Oregon's going to bring it back. But at the end of the day, I think Ohio State's going to get it done. I think what's going to happen is Will Howard's going to find Emeka Egbuka for a game-winning touchdown. That's my prediction.
Egbuka.
Yes.
Emeka Egbuka, man.
Keep him on the list, people. Keep him on the list. But I think that's my prediction for this game, and it's gonna be a fun game. If I win the lottery, I'm going to this game.
this is game of the year right here because these two teams should be undefeated by the time they play each other.
Yeah,
it's gonna be college game day.
It is. If we're being honest, this is one
gonna be college game day.
This and Alabama, Georgia are the two I can circle for college game day.
I told my wife I'm taking PTO from her for this game. I need PTO on this Saturday. Sorry.
Because I may have a wedding on this day and I'm going to be watching it on my phone.
Oregon seems to always...
Lucky. They always
lets... hold on.
October
seems to
12th.
always lets me down, so it's like getting a liver from an alcoholic, in my opinion.
And I'll say this too. One of the
they've only lost to Washington really the last 2 years. And the first year, okay. So I kind of got to defend. I got to defend Oregon here because Dan Lannon is a new head coach. Had 2 offensive coordinators. Will Stein has been with them now, so they have that. They had to get transfers from everywhere else because they couldn't find a good quarterback. But now he's had 3 good ones up to this point. And the only other team that he couldn't beat is Washington, and they ended up being national champion contenders. So I don't feel so bad. I wouldn't say that Oregon is a letdown. I think next year, the biggest thing that's going to threaten Michigan and Ohio State for years is them. I don't think it's USC because of Dan Lannon. Dan Lannon is the best coach. He's the best coach. Let's see. Dan Lannon is the best coach in the Big Ten right now.
Yeah,
I agree.
Kirk Ferentz is going down from Iowa, but we'll see how he bounces back this year.
They may have to.
James Franklin is a great recruiter. Ryan Day is overrated as shit. Sharon Moore, we don't know yet.
Luke Fickle,
we don't know yet. There's a lot of what ifs. UCLA just got a new coach.
And if Wisconsin
got Lincoln Riley, he's only good for recruiting quarterbacks.
I was say one thing I will say about Wisconsin with Luke Fickle, if there's any team from the Big Ten that's gonna come out of nowhere, it's gonna be because of Fickle and recruiting. That's been
stop. No, you guys are burnt toast, bro. It's over. Once them teams came over, it's over.
No, because even with that, we're having a good recruiting.
How many wins you got in Wisconsin going? Let's hold on.
What is a good recruiting class?
Wait, hold on. You said top 20.
Well, before we get to the recruiting class, let's get to these other ones real quick.
I'll tell you.
Don's got them losing. Got Michigan losing. All right, Michigan.
Interesting.
Losing to Michigan
Oregon losing
only.
to Michigan. There you go. All right,
Sora's got no losses. He thinks they go undefeated. And then the ECG one is just we got them losing to Ohio State. So they're going 11-1. So they're definitely a CFP contender. So everybody automatically throw them into your bracket somewhere because we'll get to those here in a couple weeks. So, but real quick,
I'm telling you, Wisconsin. I'll be honest, Wisconsin.
I'm about to pull it up right now. We got to go through Wisconsin's schedule because you talking real spicy.
I will roll off what games I think they're going to lose right now. Alabama, USC, Penn State, Oregon. 8-4. I think that's a good season.
I'm going to shock people a little. Oh, that's very solid. That's an upgrade from last year.
Yeah, but I think that 8-4 might be maybe even 9-3 might be y'all's cap unless y'all have a super favorable schedule.
Guaranteed losses I can give you: Alabama, USC, and Oregon. Those are the 3 guaranteed right then and there. I can
get behind that.
I also have us losing to Nebraska. So I have 4 total losses to Wisconsin.
I could also see y'all losing those to Rutgers and Northwestern. I could see y'all losing both those games. Northwestern are very underrated.
Y'all gonna lose against Alabama. Y'all losing against Alabama.
Agree.
Y'all losing against USC because y'all gotta go to Los Angeles and play.
Yeah, we're going to LA. So
now if it was the other way around, I probably would have gave you that one. Northwestern, y'all ain't winning against them. Penn State, y'all not winning against them. Iowa, you're not winning against them. Oregon, you're not winning, and Nebraska, you're not winning. So y'all losing 7 games this year.
Iowa and Northwestern, and even Rutgers. Rutgers are going to surprise people, man. They returned
Rutgers,
Kyle Monangai, and they returned a lot of people. They're going to be.
They did.
They're going to be the team that can, throw a wrench into your plans, kind of like, UCF could be that spoiler team in the Big 12. That's Rutgers for the Big 10. They are
Greg
going to
Schiano and
Northwestern.
OC from Minnesota came over, and they brought Cadillac Manis over too.
Yeah, look, Rutgers are going to surprise people. They may not be a great team overall, but they could play spoiler for a lot of good teams.
And Purdue is a spoiler.
Purdue can
team.
beat anyone and lose to anyone any given week. I don't know what to think.
I ain't worried. I sleep on Purdue, sir.
Bro, no, this 8-game stretch that y'all got with the
don't get me wrong,
bye
it's
week
a
in
tough
between,
stretch.
this shit is brutal.
I'll say this: the bye week after Iowa could not have come perfectly.
Yeah, y'all need
if
that
I'm
for
being
Oregon.
honest, because then we go Oregon, Nebraska, Minnesota. And one thing I'll say about Minnesota, we play each other that much harder, no matter if one team's ranked top 10 and the other's unranked, not talked about. It's always a tough battle between Wisconsin.
This
and
is
Minnesota.
This is a 6-game. This is 6 losses this year, minimum.
You want to bet?
Let me go through it. Let me go through it one more time. Alabama, you're definitely losing.
Yes, I will say this now. We are losing to Alabama. We're going to get killed in the second half. We're going to make it look close in the first half, and then second half, Alabama's
USC,
gonna be
you're
like,
definitely
"Aight,
losing.
I think that won't be closer, but I give us a loss. I'll agree.
Oh, you got to go. You got to play Northwestern, Illinois. You got Tyler Van Dyke as your quarterback too.
Oh,
And who knows?
Yikes.
Who knows
Penn
what
State and Iowa, Oregon.
I want to say this: if Tyler Van Dyke's not looking good and Braden Locke is gonna give him a run for the money, he's having a good camp overall. Tyler Van Dyke could very well be benched. I would say
I wouldn't be shocked. The way he's played the last 3 years, he's been a Heisman dark horse, a first-round draft pick dark horse for the last 3 years.
I ain't saying Tyler.
Give me 6. Give me 6 losses for you guys. I'll put money on it. Yeah, I'll bet.
What do you want to bet? What do you want to bet?
We betting jerseys again?
Redemption time, baby.
Okay, let me say this really quick. Just an interesting little nugget. Washington are 16-0 straight up. The game after Iowa.
Who is?
Wisconsin.
16-0. The game after Iowa.
Look at who you play after Iowa this year.
Don't you give me hope, man. Don't you give me hope for that game, please. Don't give me hope. We saw
The last time Wisconsin lost the game after playing Iowa was back in 2004 versus Georgia in the Outback Bowl.
Don't you give me hope. You stop it over there.
You're losing to Oregon, though. That streak ends this year 100%.
Oh, we'll make the first quarter close, and that's it.
Nah.
I ain't gonna deny that. We're gonna get killed by Oregon. Sure.
My bad.
I will admit we are gonna get killed by Alabama, Oregon. I can guarantee will be 2 blowouts right there. USC, I think we'll keep it close. I think they'll pull away in the 4th, but I don't think we stand a chance versus Alabama or Oregon.
Yeah, you guys are screwed. You guys are screwed. Six losses. 6 losses.
So
this
Jersey.
year.
It's a Jersey then.
Minimum 6 losses.
So if it's 5 or less, I win a jersey. If it's 6 or more, you win the jersey.
Facts.
All right.